In today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to make this trending stylish halter neck shirt with a rope at the back. So if this is what you're interested in, kindly watch till the end and subscribe to this channel. Let's dive into the video. Alright, fashion lovers, at this point I'm marking the length of the shirt. I'm supposed to have 28 inches, but I added 30 inches. I later used 28 inches as a whole, like I cut off the remaining. So at this point, I'm going ahead to mark my button allowance. So from that button allowance, I will mark my neck width. I'm using a neck width of 3 inches and I'm marking my shoulder. This shoulder is not important actually, but we'll just have to mark it for the basics. So from here now, I'll go ahead and mark my armhole measurements and my chest line and my bust point. Then I'll mark the waist and then mark the hips. Do you get? So from this 3 inches now, the neck width, I came out by 1 inch because I don't want this halter to be too tight on the neck. I came out by 1 inch, and from that 1 inch I came down by half of an inch. So at this point I will connect it to that bust point that I have there. Now on the chest line, I'll go ahead and mark my bust measurement plus my seam allowance. This shirt is supposed to be having some ease, so when you're measuring yours, you add up your ease. Like for me, I use 1 inch for my ease and then ½ inch for the sewing allowance. So I'll go ahead and connect these lines together from the bust to the waist and the waist to the hip. Now I came back to that neckline again. From that 3 inches, I went down by half of an inch. Fine. At this point now, I'm no longer using the 1 inch I went out with. So I have to curve it like so because it is a halter neck. A neck that does not have a shoulder. So from the end now, I'll come down by the neck depth of 3 inches and I will connect the lines. So this other line now, we're not going to be making use of it. So I'll go ahead to connect this up down to the bust point. And after this now, we'll go ahead and cut. So from the side seam, I went up by 2½ inches and I gave it a curve at the hem area. Just watch closely, you'll see what I'm talking about. So now we'll go ahead and cut off the neck and then I'll cut the halter neck. So what's the one that I'm cutting? So after cutting this out now, I'll bring a piece. So this piece is for the back and it is measuring exactly the same length from the sides, from the armhole area to the full length of the blouse. I don't want my back to be open like the picture we saw on the thumbnail. So I'll fold this, put this into two, fold it on fold, and I'll match up the side seam of the front on it. So at this point, I'm going ahead to give the downside a little curve. So to get this now, you have to mark, I used 45 inches for this back strap because I wanted it to flow. So at this point, I'll go ahead and fold all the sides of the back like this. Fold this part like so, and then fold. Then I will join it with the sewing allowance at the side seam area. So at this point, I'll bring the front and the back. I'll match them up just like what you see me do. This fabric is kind of moving around, so I'm using my pin to pin them up. So I'll take it to my sewing machine and I will join it with the ½ inch seam allowance I left. I'll join the two sides together and I will join the other one too. Do you guys? So after I finish joining, I'll go ahead and hem all of the parts. I'll hem the armhole area, I'll hem the back, I'll hem the button allowance, I'll hem the down area. I'll just hem everywhere that's supposed to be hemmed. Do you get? So I don't want to be coming back and forth to show us. I want to go and do everything and I will come back to show us the next step. So at this point, I'm showing you guys what I'm going to be doing. I will hem the sides. I'll first of all shape it up with my seam allowance, then shape the both sides, then go ahead and hem the long strip for the back. Go ahead and hem all the sides of it. Now at this point, if you have a serger machine, you can go ahead and weave this up before you continue. So at this point, I finished folding them in, and this is what I had. Do you get? So here now, my rope wasn't enough, so I added a little. This is the joining that you're seeing here. So to move further now, I'll go ahead and cut the collar. So for the collar, I used 19 inches. I want it to be a bit free because the collar is what is going to be holding the neck. There is no neck around here. So 19 inches divided by 2 is what I marked there. So from the end of this paper now, I'll go up by 1.5 inches so that I can get the collar itself. Do you get? So I'll mark that 1.5 inches, and from here now I'll go in by 1 inch and then give it a curve. This is for the collar. Do you get? Like that one we used to have, like the type we used to have on a bishop collar. So at this point, the collar stand, I'll go up by 2.5 inches. Now this is depending on your preference. So I'll go up by 2.5 inches and I'll mark the lines like so. And on this line, I'll come down by 1/2 inch so I can slant up this collar a bit. Do you get? So after now, I will, from this 1 inch, give it a slant line to meet the end of the pattern. Do you understand? So at this point now, I'll go ahead and cut this off. This is a one collar. Like, I don't want to have that type that's going to be two. I will join and join. No, as this is a simple tutorial, so I thought to share with us how to make this style, this pattern of collar drafting. This is nice. You're going to like it. So I'll go ahead and cut this out. So after I cut it out, if I stitch it, this is what I'm going to be having. So at this point, I will go and cut this, and I'll add 1/2 inch seam allowances on all the sides. Yes, then this part is going to be on fold. You see, I'm marking it on fold. I'll cut it on fold. There will be no seam allowance around there. So I've gone ahead to cut this out, and I added 1/2 inch seam allowances all around, and it is on fold. So I have two of this. Normally collar it should be two, one for the lining and one for the main piece, and I ironed my paper stay on it. So at this point, I'll go ahead and join the part that is supposed to be joined. I'll go ahead and join the one that is having this slant, sharp bending, slant line. That's the collar itself. Just watch closely. You see what I'm trying to show us. I'll not stitch this part. I'll just join this part like this, and I'll bring it to show us. So I've gone ahead to stitch. Do you see the part I sew? I'll go ahead and trim off my seam allowances and notch that part that is having a kind of a, like as if I stitch it inward. So I'll go ahead and give it a notch so it becomes neat. Now at this point, I'll use my scissors to bring out this sharp point so that it's going to be coming out very fine. So this is what I have. Our collar is ready. So at this point, I'll go ahead and fold in 1/2 inch because that's what I'm going to be using to join this up. So I've gone ahead to fold 1/2 inch like you can see on both sides, and I'll bring the shirts to join them like so. I'll show you how to join. Alright, fashion lovers, if you have watched to this part and you have not subscribed, kindly subscribe to this channel and turn on your notification bell. Alright, to join this, I'll bring the front side of the collar and put the neck inside it like this, and I'll top stitch, and I'll bring the other one and put it inside like this, and I'll go ahead to top stitch. Do you get? So the back side now is just the other side is the back, so I'll go ahead and still do the same top stitching, and I'll bring it in to show us what I have. So at this point, I've gone ahead to join the collar. So I noticed that it was too open. My bust area was kind of open, so I give it a little bit of bust dart around that part. So if you are cutting your own, just allow your armhole curve to stop at your armhole, not at the under bust, please, so that your bust will not be opening, showing. So at the back area, I measured my back, my bust circumference, and I held it up around there. So that's what I'm trying to show us. So this is what I was able to achieve. So if you like this video, kindly subscribe to this channel for more sewing tips and sewing tricks. Alright, at this point in time, I'll go ahead and mark my button, like the space where I'll be putting my buttonhole and where I'll be sewing in my button. So I used 3 inches in all. So my chalk wasn't doing the work fine. I got a marker. I'm marking 3 inches. 3 inches is the spacing for the buttons and the buttonhole. So I'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, and our shirt is ready. So after now, I'll go ahead and put my buttonholes and I will sew in my buttons. Do you get? So this is how to achieve this beautiful shirt. Bye. See you in my next video.